The hips tend to get tight, and we want to work on a lot of external rotation for the hips. So with Clinton, we find that his arches are falling in, which means that his hips are going to be slightly rolled in, and I want to work on pulling them out. Hi guys, Mr. Posture Prime, welcome to the channel where I help you with your posture and overall health. So let's get at it. Today we have Clinton back. Good to have you, man. Okay, and last day we worked on the feet. We're going to work now on the hips. If the arch is falling in or the hips tight, then the knee will roll in and that puts the knee under pressure. Rather than working out the knee, you tend to have to work above it and below it, and it'll set back to where it should be. So we're going to do some squats, and I just want to look at seeing what his hips are doing. You can see when Clinton's going up and down, because that arch is dropped, his knee falls inwards. So his knees are slightly pulled in because his arches are pulling in. So I want you to put the weight to the outside of your foot and lift them arches. Lovely. Now I want you to keep that there. Now you'll start to feel the hips working whenever you bring the arches up. So I want you now to squat up and down, but making sure you don't let them arches drop, and keep pushing the weight to the outside of the foot. So when he's coming down, pushing out, and that there is opening his hip up rather than it collapsing in. So these are squats with an external rotation and a pressing on the outside, keeping the arches engaged. So you can imagine a bell curve. He's pushing out the knees and he's pushing them out. That's keeping his hips open. Most things will collapse in, but it's keeping his arches strong and stable. Don't clip the toes, buddy. That's the one. You're relaxing. And it's keeping them hips strong. I'm going to show you another version of it, which will sort of step it up a little bit again, when that gets a little bit easier. Okay, so this is version 2. It's a harder version to really get the hips to engage in the fire more. Now we're going to do the squats with the band, and this will just help to engage the hips more, and it makes them fire, and you'll feel them a lot more. Making sure your feet are engaged, so that means your arches are fire, so you're putting the weight to the outside of your feet, like so. Yep, and then what you're doing is you're going to push out against the band. These bands, they're handy, you can pick them up on Amazon, they're not there. As soon as you want to squat down, push outwards. Think of a C or a bell curve. You're pushing outwards to come down, and then you're pushing outwards to come up. You're always pushing out into the outside of the feet, outside of the hips. Okay, and then have a go and see how we're getting on. Good man. It takes a wee while to get used to it. Good. And you always want to do this slow and steady so you have time to correct it. Good. Good man. Now you'll feel and you'll see his legs coming in and out because his hips are starting to fire. Lovely the way down, and push out strong as you come up. That was a really good one there because they didn't want to buckle in at all. You kept the outward pressure. There's no pushing in. Really strong, really strong. So with this exercise, depending on the strength of the band and where you're starting from, your fitness level, 10 to 20 reps, 3 to 4 times, 3 to 4 sets is a really good place to start. Now if you have tight hips, it's always good to warm them up and open them up beforehand, but one of my favourite drills. Okay, so we're going to go for exercise 3, and these are band sidewalks. And this one, it hits the hips slightly differently, and it's important to hit the hips from different angles because we're in different positions all day, but I really like this one. This is be one of my top 3 again. We want to make sure that the feet are first of all pointing forward. So Clinton, you make sure they're facing forward. Yep. And then I'm going to get him to engage his arches by gripping the floor and putting the weight to the outside of his foot. So give me as big as arch as you can. Perfect. So as a slow demonstration, he's going to be here, feet firing. Very upright, not tilted forward, really upright, lifting up, slowly, lifting over down, and lifting the other leg up and coming down. Okay, this is working on one hip at a time. Clinton, have a go. Alright, I'll walk you through it. Lifting up slowly, coming down. Lovely. Now keep your knees really straight. Alright, legs locked up. So you're only going a little bit, and try it again. Good. And I'm just going to get you to stay in one spot, and you're just going to walk one step forward and one step back. Good. Good. And I want you to keep your eyes fixated on your feet. Sometimes the feet will turn outwards, but you just want to make sure they're dead straight because that's working the hips. So slower for me. Lovely. And slower. That's the pace. Good. Yeah. So it's more like when he's going, it's more of a hip lift than a knee lift. Yeah, you're thinking about lifting up with the hip. Now you really feel out the hips. But the hips, we tend to walk forward, move backwards, but we don't really work from side to side. The hip is a ball and socket joint, so it needs moves in all directions. So it's important to move from side to side to keep the whole thing freed up. So you never want to get in the notion of doing one thing. Always trying to orientate and move all your directions. Good. Okay, we've got exercise number 4 for the hips. And these are hip lifts. These are great for opening up the pelvis, body really straight, and you're wanting to lift the hip up, like so. So Clinton, it'll be like lifting up, and lifting up. And slow and steady so you have time in one leg. Just be mindful. Some people will do it from the side, but when they look down, they tend to tip down, and as you lift up, get pressure in the back. You want to be upright and lifting. You don't want to be hinging into the back. It's a hip lift with flat feet. Okay, go ahead. Now keep your eyes fixated on your feet because I want to make sure that he can see what his body's doing. His body will do things that it shouldn't do unless you keep an eye on him. Good. When you're putting your foot down, keep that arch forward and push through a strong arch. Lovely. Yeah. And you can see his hip lift. That's breaking his hips loose. Hip tightness is a really big issue and we want to get them loosened up, but that's it. And you can see him working really hard, working on his foot, working on his arch, and that's exactly what we want. All those wee tiny fine muscles working, yeah? Stabilising. Good, those are hip lifts. A great one to try to isolate and get the hips loosened. Alright, good man, Clinton. Good.